Welcome to CathyDSlaught's SRC4u Zoom call for March 9th, 2022. We're here on Cathy's website, CathyDSlaght.com. We're going to scroll down, look for the Zoom banner, click where it says click here. This will take us over to the Zoom platform where we will enter the call. It will be live, so you may want to lower the volume on your speakers.
I call forth the proper spiritual court of love to hear my decree of contract removal. And I won't go ahead and read the whole thing, but you get the feel of it. It's quite long. You see, but that gives you an idea. In other words, it's all based on love, and anything that has been programmed in to the masculine that is non-beneficial. So if we go in here just for the heck of it, we're going to preserve these options. We should see what kind of information we come up with. Give it just a second. While it's calibrating, let me show you what else was happening yesterday. The reason I didn't get any email out is we really wanted the she motion. We went quite a while on it here, and this is interesting since it started with men. Since today we're removing perhaps some deals they made that don't support them. Faking contentment to avoid relationship loss. Then the rest, nothing else, focused just on men. Second guessing decisions. Refusing to take personal responsibility for wrongdoings. Look at this one. This was huge. Don't know what to believe. Projects poor self-image by taking it out on others. So these were our messages. And again, you'll get these in the email. But I found this one to be very interesting because then you can douse these messages in the group and see where we are. Remove the word failure from your life and you're sure to succeed. We just had a 2% resonance, so as human beings, we're probably pretty hard on ourselves. This one, let me just see if I can get this. Yeah. Speak this 3 times today. I revel in my own power. That was a low resonance. Speak this 3 times today. I am self-ruled. There's a code in there for those interested. Family violence has no home in my community. These are all messages that came up as we took each number down to a 0. Allow your aura to grow. Speak this 3 times. I am non-judgmental. And then we wanted the full 6 hours. And this was our last message. The discretion of a man makes him slow to anger, and his glory is to overlook a transgression, from Proverbs. So anyway, that was an interesting day. Now let's look. This is kind of calibrated. So we're looking at some stress related to lung meridians. Let's just look at that could cause some arm and leg discomfort, just among other things. Let's just look and see. Yeah, there's some stress there. I think we can, let's see if I can. Been having a lot of interesting things with the sustenance balancer. So I need this, I said yesterday, do a little screen show or something, whatever they call it, because it's too long to show you in the Zoom. But you can actually make a big difference in your vitality by sending these codes to, your food, your water, etc., your supplements, etc., when it resonates. Okay, so we got a little stress there. Let's look at that. while that's going, let me show you a few other things from yesterday. So anyway, I went on back then. Sharon actually reminded me the power of the frankincense essential oil for the brain. And let's just see while we're waiting for that lung meridian information. Let's just see how we look with that, because that is no big deal. Even as she was mentioning, just to inhale. In fact, in some countries, that's all they do with the oils. They just inhale. They don't put them on or, consume them. Okay, look at that. So look at that, 95% a good thing. So let me show you what I've been doing with these things. I'm going to put that back in, and I'm going to see if we want that through the sustenance balancer.
Plus putting one drop on your top of your head, just above your pineal gland at night.
Yes, yeah, and I know I need to do that again. All right, so we benefit. Let's just see. I'll just put a little S next to that, so I don't know what else. So anyway, that has been extremely productive for individuals. We're seeing some real interesting results. Now let's just see if we want this lung meridians code that way as well. This type of work, you're probably going to have to multitask and go back and forth. But all right, look at that. So we will take that. Discomfort, QiGong techniques. I'm hoping to get word when Grandmaster will have time to come on. And the Wonder Click is taking care of so much of this. But it's interesting, like we have a torso cocktail. Let's see if we want that. Torso cocktail. Nope. Good. The Wonder Click will handle it. Swelling. Cold. That geriatrics issues. We're going to have to go in and do some anti-aging, stress-related. And our focus at this time is the brain, because we're wanting to get into some real manifestation. And hormones, or the hormone production, can definitely throw that off. So look at that. Significant stress related to hormones. Now we can go in and get some codes, although we can also just go in and do it in the sustenance balancer. So that's what I'll do. I'll just add, we have a nice, group of information for hormones, and I'll just add it that way. There's the male again, numbness. There's female, gallbladder. So this kind of thing, tumors and cysts, will come up. It's etheric. It is not in the body, but it's interesting just if this comes up to realize you might want to make a few dietary changes, etc., etc. Might want to go to the doctor. Look, all that male energy today. Interesting. The more vital your research, the less people will understand it. That's interesting. Accusing, affected. Let's just look at this gloom, which would lower voltage. Okay, so interesting what we've got. And so moving back to the, we know that we are wanting to work with the brain. It was a 98% benefit to go deeper into the brain so that we can get a handle on why, if and why we're creating what we don't wish to create. Because they say, based on technology and research, we are in the middle of a field of information on everything we need. So I wanted to talk a little bit. I don't know if you remember yesterday, I said that it turns out men have billions more neurons than women. The male brain has a neuron, of course, is a brain cell, billions more, except it turns out that this synapse information, that's how these neurons communicate and connect. The women are much better at that. So it's very interesting. And that's going to be our looking at this connection of the information. If we're surrounded by information, why aren't we processing it? And so it turns out it might deal with this. So just a few little things. Obviously, nutrition is going to be huge. And dairy products, leafy green vegetables was mentioned. But another thing that's significant is calcium. If you get not enough calcium, that does one thing. If you get too much, that does another. And this is all about processing all this powerful information. So, let's see where we are. Okay. A little bit of stress there. I don't want that one. Let's look at the. That's something to keep your focus on, because it is quite significant what a calcium overload or deficiency does to our actual brain communication process. Okay, so let's just go in to the Pro Tools and see what comes up to help us with that energy. It's putting stress related to calcium balance. And then a few other things from the book. We want environmental richness, and that means perhaps not sitting in front of the computer all day. We need to play some games, do other things. We do not want to eliminate fats. You remember when that was promoted? That's not a good thing. We, again, want to keep the calcium balance. But we want snacks. That's one thing. I don't know if I'm right or wrong on this, but it looks like maybe that intermittent fasting isn't so great. We may need to eat more throughout the day. And of course, we want proteins and complex carbs. It turns out, from what I'm reading, that in order to process the proteins, we really do need a few carbs with it. We want to exercise. The fresh air is big, and they're suggesting we all need an air purifier. Breaks every hour and a half. And then this new learning. And when I made a statement that every time you learn something new, you get a new neuron, that's wrong. That's not what it is. You get a synapse. You up your communication of the neurons. So this was interesting. This is where you take the information and you switch it, and that can really be a problem. And so there's a code for it. Let's just see where we are with that.
Cathy, I missed it that Nancy had put in a chat. What's the 9 times calcium? She wanted to know what that was.
Yeah, thank you. That's just the Tesla philosophy, the 369, and so I'll repeat them. And so I was repeating 9 times to balance calcium. The code for balancing calcium. Yeah, thank you. I can't see the chat when I'm doing the Zoom.
Yeah, Nancy, because I guess she's on her phone or whatever, can't ask. So
yeah. Well, the Tesla stuff can be very interesting, and very often it's that 108 which is powerful. So if anybody is working with the prayer beads, that would be then for that day. If you're doing individual, you can say, okay, maybe I'll do my prayer or mala beads. But so you can see we're taking some information and we're switching it, and this can really mess things up. We don't want to, let me see how, and that is just with a little bit of a chronic stress. Let's see what we can do. Yeah, Tesla was way ahead of his time. Tesla also talked about the energy of love, as well as the Vogel crystal guy, whose name escapes me right now, but so that's what Tesla was talking about. So then we know about neurotransmitters already. We want, again, going back to this connection, we want an optimal neuron connection. We want to use what we've got. And that's where the learning is new synapses. It's not neurons. It's this. And we want those connections. It's like we could all use a few new synapses. It goes up to the 101. Let's just see if we want that in the sustenance balancer. No, that's the one that's taking care of it. And this starts getting, at this point, there are so many factors. We've got the spinal fluid, we've got blood, we've got circulatory. It's extremely complicated for me anyway, but with this kind of software, there's ways to simplify it. We can douse these codes in if we're so inclined, but you can also go down here, we're going to check in a minute, and see if we just want to balance our electrochemical language. So first we'll douse these things in, but there's so many more factors. For example, even the vagus nerve, which is very underrated. Has anybody ever looked at Donovan's sound therapy online?
Nope.
That is amazing. He does, you could even just, pull it up and read it. You don't have to buy it, but he does sound therapy purely for the vagus nerve, and the vagus nerve, you'll find, is processing a lot of this. And a little bit of stress there with the circulatory. Again, subtle, but at this time. Yeah, we'll take that one. So this might be the easiest way, though. Just let's see if we want to balance our electrochemical language. Well, that's the kind of thing we can do energetically without getting so caught up in all these, because it's really complicated. Okay, look at that. Yeah, we'll take it. Let's do it. Just 8 minutes, but could be a productive 8 minutes. And then we want to support, and there's the vagus nerve. We want to, and a lot of this is going to be nutritional, but you're actually going to see it's our thoughts. So it's not only on the physical plane. There's a little stress related to that, the overall support of this really significant system. Right on the line, I think we will add it. And of course the vagus nerve. And there was a one for activate the vagus nerve, which was mentioned also in the book. Low there, but it will come up. Okay. Now this is the last thing I want to talk about. And I personally found this absolutely fascinating about the synapses, because we already know, this group already knows that we form these little pathways in the brain. And it's not beneficial to us all the time. We've got pathways, for example, you might have a phobia. You might have obsessive compulsive. You might have an addiction. And then there are more physical issues as well that seizures is one big example, where you've got this pathway and the slightest little environmental stimulus kicks you right back into it. And there are people, scientists, who say we can actually unlearn how to be sick by understanding these pathways and doing some work to change them. And that's, well, that doesn't sound like a bad idea. Let's at least look at it. Okay, so we're ready to do it. Now this was an interesting, so this is non-beneficial neuronal couplings. So for example, let's say there is an addiction, there is a phobia, there is obsessive compulsive. Let's say there's hatred. Let's say a person is locked into their political party. No matter what they do, it doesn't matter. This may not serve. So let's see if we as a group want to go any farther with this. Clear, non-beneficial neuronal couplings. Would it be a good thing? Yeah, look at that, 96%. So let's go in here, and I did this for myself last night. You might want to consider going in and every now and then just taking a look at this. "23 hours. So that's probably something we want to keep up with, because there's some stress there. And then of course, oops, we can just keep it simple. There's no code for this. Well, let's just reset healthy communication in the brain. And you could use a little boost there. So we'll take that in the suspense balancer as well. Could we, this was again mentioned in what I was reading, could different things, for example, some have said one reason people went and unquestionably got the vaccine without doing any research is that they might have had cellular memory of being in a plague and dying. I don't know how you test that, but would it be beneficial for us to see if we could actually wipe some of that out when it's non-beneficial? And let me tell you how they're doing it on a scientific, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. They are doing it with electricity. So I'm wondering, this is electricity, this is what we're doing with some consistent work here, what we could do as well. And so now, this is what we had done yesterday, and what you can do, I'm just going to go in here and see, do we still need this? Because we have some new things to add. Let's see if what still needs some focus. No, don't see, we got that balanced out at this moment in time. This one, I don't know if anybody had a chance to look this one up, but it's interesting. Let's see if we are done with that.
Question?
Yeah.
On clearing the atrocities, are we opening ourselves to repeat history?
You mean by clearing them? That's a thought. That's a good thought. Well, let's just see. Hold on, I'm going to mark this one here. Let's just look.
It looks like Nancy has her hand up.
Okay, yeah, I can't see. So if somebody can share with me.
Yeah, I don't know how we can, how you can get to talk to her.
Let's go up here.
Well, I think she just has to go ahead and speak.
If she can.
Yeah, I don't understand for sure.
It did come up in reference to this wipe atrocity, and I've already asked that it was a fairly good thing. Let me see how I want to ask that. Like a negative input, like filling a vacuum, because we definitely don't want a vacuum, that is true. I'll put negative consequences. Well, not really, but let's just fill that vacuum. How about we fill that vacuum? How about we fill it with 528 hertz, which is unconditional love and a miracle. Does that make sense? Let's see what we say about that. Because that is a definite, valid concern. Let's just amp that up. Let's go up to the 101. Any word from Nancy?
Is she okay?
No, I don't know. There's no way.
She just, and I am limited here. I can't see if anybody.
Well, even that, but usually if they have their hands up, then they just go ahead and speak. So I think
she's probably in.
Maybe she put it up when she did the chat and just.
Okay.
I don't know.
Cathy.
Yeah.
Didn't we do the World War III yesterday?
Yeah, it's in this list still. And if you listen to very much news, and we're talking about all the stations, it looks like they're encouraging World War III or a war. And some people are just going ahead and turning off their TVs. Because the truth is, we don't really know the truth. No?
That's the truest statement I've ever heard, Cathy.
The truth is, we don't know anything.
We only know as much as we're allowed to know.
Right, but then also I think it kind of runs in certain circuits. We hear what we want to hear. Now we do want to continue this right here, this axon, which is one of the incoming nerves that handles this synapse thing. And again, it's complicated. But yeah, I think this pathway thing, like last night, really hit me, because I thought, whoa, this would answer a lot of questions as to why, and we've seen this. People will look at one thing and then all have a different interpretation. And there was a code for Prevent World War III. We had a 91% benefit yesterday of receiving it. Let's see if we're going to continue with that today, this way. Nope. So we know we're going to do that. Let's look at
Hey, Cathy.
Yeah.
Would it make sense to put something like that in the timeline? Just curious.
I think all of this would be wonderful. I keep forgetting the timeline, so I appreciate you mentioning it. I don't see why not. Let's check. For example, let's go up here. Well, let's just look at this. Well, not for that one. The thing is, there is a bigger picture, and we might be able to work with our own dimensions.
Yeah.
You know, but we may not be able to work on. We might not be able to work on the collective. Let's look at this, for example, non-beneficial neuronal coupling, since that seems to be a major. I know for everybody, I put it in last night. It was like whoa. And now for the group, very high stress. Well, look at that. Clear non-beneficial couplings. We don't want to put the clear part, but let's put that in. That would be major for planet Earth. If we could have conscious understanding of these pathways that don't always serve us. So yeah, we'll run that one. Thank you, Sharon. Let's see, any other suggestions?
I'm just curious why you wouldn't add the word clear onto that, because it seems like that's what we want to do, right?
Well, we are doing it in our other programs, but it seems in the timeline we're removing it. We don't want to remove the clearing part. We just want to remove this. In other words, we want to clear it. We're working on that in another program, and we don't want to remove clear. We want to remove the non-beneficial pathways. Yeah,
You're right.
that's why.
I get confused on this timeline. I underutilize it. I know I do.
Well, you're better than me. You know, part of it, I think, is it's hard sometimes to believe we can really take something out of the timeline. And yet, we have a lot of testimonials that that's possible. But it's still, you know, for many of us, I'm one of them, it's like, well, but you know what, that's, I think, where I got that philosophy, what can it hurt? So we see what we'll be doing with the calcium balance, and that'll go on today. And any other thoughts? I think we're all set.
All good thoughts here, Cathy. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, you guys, and you might, for fun, go in on a regular basis and clear any non-beneficial pathways of your own. I'm going back in, doing mine. I think we have some real potential in understanding how the brain is really working. And it looks like probably everybody needs to get a few of these processed foods out, because they have added to the confusion, and get a few more of what God put together. So with that, I'll see y'all tomorrow.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Jan.
You too.
Bye.
This concludes the SRC4u Zoom call. If you'd like to be part of Cathy's SRC4u Daily Energy Clearing Group, all the information's here. Just click right through. We look forward to seeing you again. Till then, take care and be well.